Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you Game 3 in a best of 3 between Behati and Gonzo in the semi-finals of the Steel Division League Code S. Today we're going to be seeing Odon, and on the allied side Behati is playing with the 4th Armoured. On the Axis side, Gonzo is using the 91st Luftlande. So this is an exact same divisional matchup that we saw in the first game between these two, but this time on Odon. So Gonzo will be looking to replicate the success that he had in game 1. He used the HS-129s to try and harass Behati's armour. Although he didn't actually do too well with the HS-129s, that air pressure really led to Behati investing a lot into his own air force, and thus being punished for that. Also, the AA that was invested upon by the 4th Armoured didn't really hang about too long, got caught out by the AA, like the AT guns as well as the HS-129s, and was cleaned up very nicely. So Gonzo was able to control the skies throughout, started using ME-109 D2 BR-21s, and those rocket planes really started to do quite a bit of damage. Alongside that, I think Gonzo did relatively well with his infantry management, so if he can pull that off again, I think he'll be in a pretty nice position to win this game. Trying that HS-129 strategy though a second time round, he may get caught out, because Behati might expect it if Gonzo tries to rely on it. In Phase A, it's something that can definitely be used to its advantage, because, as I mentioned previously, the HS-129 won't be countered by any fighters, I don't believe, in Phase A. The only thing that can really attack the HS-129 is a B-26B, and not only is it not fast enough to keep up with the HS-129, it also doesn't have the firepower to take it down. So the HS-129 can definitely run about the field quite freely if Behati doesn't invest in a substantial amount of AA in the early game. Let's have a look at some of these units going down anyway. On the top side here, we have a couple units of rifles with the M8 cavalry. It's also going to be the Jeep with the command infantry. On the bottom side, it's going to be the M4A10P with the off-map. There's going to be 2 units of rifles, 3 units of rifles, with the command and the M15 CGMC. On the bottom side, it's going to be the Bantam, a bazooka, and the rifle squad. Over on the side of Gonzo, on the top, we have a Fallschirmpanzer Abwehr. It's going to be some Panzergrenführer. Well, these are actually going to be Fallschirmführer, sorry. Then there's going to be 2 units of Fallschirmjägers. Further down, we have the Fallschirmpanzerschreck, Fallschirmflammenwerfer, sorry, and then 2 units of Ersatztruppen. On the main road, it's going to be 2 units of Ersatztruppen. There's going to be a command infantry in there and the Fallschirmpanzerschreck, also the Fallschirmjägers at the back of that convoy. On the bottom side, it's going to be command with an AT gun. That's going to be a Pak 40 at the start with a Panzerschreck. Now this Pak 40, it seems to have gone to the right position in order to counter the push of the Bantam here. Could also be really good for covering this center area against the M4A10P pushing. However, if the M4A10P gets the off-map on target of the Pak 40, then the M4A10P could just run through here on the bottom side. Gonzo didn't see the bazooka attacking his Panzerschreck. Panzerschreck dies in the process. So nice little engagement at the start there for Behati. Going to remove that AT from the bottom side. Off-map going to be coming down onto the town. I actually find this a rather strange use of the off-map. Like, yes, this is quite a high concentration of infantry, but in general, what are you going to push through this town? There's got to be like a Bantam or something that you sort of are ready to rush up through the town in order to take advantage of units that are pinned down in order to find surrenders. That's the main reason you're using this off-map in the first place, rather than just trying to do damage to the infantry, because it's quite unlikely that it's going to do that much damage to wipe out an entire squad or two. Either way, off-map is going to come down, and we're going to see the infantry actually be used to push aggressively here. The Panzerschreck has been cleaned up. That was quite successful, and Fallschirmführer Ehrlich is still pinned. So this might actually work out very well for Behati. I didn't really think about using the infantry in this manner, but it looks like he will be able to take advantage of the fleeing squads, finds the surrender onto the Ersatztruppen, only has to move forward slightly to surrender VulcanHDGaming. I am actually surprised that he didn't go further with the infantry, but that's going to be good for Gonzo. He manages to keep his squads from surrendering for the time being. But this next batch of off-map is placed really well if Gonzo tries to press back towards the rifles of Behati, and he may be caught out because of it. Meanwhile, on the top side, Gonzo is making a little bit of ground with the Fallschirmjägers, Fallschirmpanzerabwehr, Fallschirmführer. But in this forest, with these rifles pushing onto the flamethrower squad, the flamethrower squad's actually gone down. So the Bantam, it's ready to go. Fallschirmjägers have been pinned. Here it goes to find the surrender. Going to be surrendering one squad. Will it find the second? It does. That's a 45-point unit. If it actually surrendered, which it did not. And VulcanHDGaming, can he save the day? Needs to get the H3 on target. Has one more go. And finds the kill. Bantam goes down. VulcanHDGamers have not fallen back. Will be able to engage the rifles at close range. However, if the rifles do manage to pin the Fallschirmjäger again, I think they're going to get surrendered. So, got to be a little bit careful. Those Fallschirmjägers, and I think Gonzo definitely staying longer than he should. Especially with the approaching M8 Scott here and the M8 Cavalries. On the bottom side, Pack 40 is holding the line, since the majority of Behati's units have now moved to this top side where they are pushing aggressively towards this town. The change of tack actually from Behati was very decisive, and I do like to see that kind of strategy used where you kind of think, I'm actually going to attack this area of the map instead of where my units were originally placed. I think a lot of people fail to do that in their own play, and in this case it's paid off. Absolute dividends for Behati, who's managed to take complete control of the town from Gonzo with a couple of off-map strikes. I questioned the positioning, but he followed up on it really, really well. Either way, that's going to be some Ersatz gone. Also, what looks like the Panzerschreck died there. It could have been the Bazooka Squad. I think it was Panzerschreck though. Here comes a Panzer 39. Going to be trying to hold back the infantry from pushing out of the town, but this is not a position that Gonzo really wants to be in at this point in the game. Saying that, Pack 36 does manage to clean up one of the M8 Cavalries. Nice kill there. We'll be now looking to find the second M8 Cavalry in the area. HS-129 though has come in. It's going to find the kill onto the M8 Cavalry. Goes for the shot onto the M8 Scott as well, but misses. HS-129B3 now falling back. Nice quick strike there from Gonzo, and the HS-129B3 showing its effectiveness in Phase A once again. If it could have found the kill onto the M15 CGMC, then that would have been even more scary for Behati at this point, as the HS-129 would have only been more enabled for the rest of this phase. Panzer 39 is going to get the better of the rifles. Not much the rifles can do against a fully armoured unit like the Panzer 39. And so good job mowing them down. These Fallschirmjägers though really don't want to be just sitting there in the face of the 50 cal of the M4A1 OP. That is not a good thing. These Fallschirmjägers as well also going to get hit very hard in the open, and without some sort of long-range fire support unit, Gonzo is going to continue to be in trouble. So I'm really looking forward to seeing a Stör 42 or something of the like that can do a lot of damage to the infantry that Behati has, whilst also helping to pin things like the M8 Scott and the M15 CGMCs and any other light vehicles that Behati is trying to use in Phase A. The only trouble with bringing in a Stör 42, it would prompt Behati to just buy a Hellcat to take it out. So there is that kind of counter that will be thought about by Gonzo, and therefore may put him off bringing one in, which I think is why he's investing in the Panzer 39s, which are a bit more safe in terms of their value for money, because this is a 50-point unit that can basically destroy infantry squads for free. if it's not contested by other AP valued armor units. So in this situation where there's not a single AP unit here other than the bazooka, the Panzer 39 can make a lot of ground. It is very dependent though on this bazooka and whether or not Gonzo does find it. Meanwhile on the top side though, Fallschirmjägers are being forced to fall back by the rifles. Gonzo is actually losing quite a lot of ground up here, because eventually these Fallschirmjägers, Fallschirmführer and so on will be overran by the armoured vehicles, since they are continuing to engage from range due to the rifles revealing the infantry they're fighting against. So the Panzer 39 going to continue pushing forwards with the Ersatztruppen. On the bottom side there is going to be a Fallschirmjäger joining the fray. There's going to be one more heading towards the town. But Gonzo's infantry definitely hasn't paid off greatly throughout this game so far. The Fallschirmpanzerabwehr though, they might demolish this armoured LMG rifle squad. That would be rather nice, but with all of these rifle squads now engaging alongside the 50 cal from the M4A1AP, that could be a very dead Fallschirmpanzerabwehr. The Fallschirmführer did die before the Fallschirmpanzerabwehr was revealed. Ersatztruppen trying to hold the line here. Fallschirmjägers now coming up the main road. They are going to be pinned by the CGMC. And although it's still 50-50 across the board, Behati has a sizable advantage. Oh no! That is devastating. Gonzo losing the Fallschirmjäger squad on the bottom side before they unloaded. That's a 45-point infantry squad and it's just gone. It could have made a ton of ground as well, because it was only the rifles and the bazooka holding that area. And so the Fallschirmjägers would have been able to push through there. So that is absolutely crucial that Behati found the bazooka kill. Now admittedly there is the M15 CGMC that could have swung back down to the bottom side to pin down the Fallschirmjägers, but if that didn't happen then the Fallschirmjägers were free on this bottom side to just ruin whatever defense Behati had. And that is a real shame. Fallschirmpanzerabwehr, they do manage to kill off another half-track on this top side before being killed. Fallschirmjägers getting the better of the rifles at range, which is to be expected. HS-129 has come in, does find the kill onto the M8 Scott in the town. But the AA is starting to build up, and with the first strike of the HS-129 not killing the CGMC, I think that was actually really important, because if the CGMC had died, then Behati at this point would still only have one, and the second strike could have killed it. And if Gonzo continued to put pressure onto the AA of Behati, we'd have a situation like the last game, where Behati didn't invest in the units he needed to, because he was constantly having to compensate for Gonzo's air attacks. So that's kind of how Gonzo won the first game, with his infantry air combo that he used. In this game, I'm not so convinced it's going to work, because the AA is very much live, and the HS-129s will struggle to kill them now, since the GMCs have that 1,000 meter range to the sky, which is really, really useful. Well, it's 1,200 meter range actually. It says 1,000 on the card, but I think against aircraft it's actually 1,200. Anyway, M4A1OP going to be engaged by the Pak 38 or Pak 36. Pak 36 might be able to force the M4A1 back with the shots, but the 50 cal might get the better of it. I thought the Pak 36 would make that M4A1 fall back, but didn't manage to. But that is a clean kill. Unvetted M1 gun kills another infantry squad before it unloads. And these mistakes aren't mistakes you can be making if you want to get to the final of the Steel Division League. These are the top players, and yeah, making those mistakes is, you just can't do it. He's already lost that Fallschirmjäger on the bottom side, and I think that cost him a lot of time. You can see these Fallschirmjägers coming in here, demolishing the rifles and bazookas. So imagine if that happened a minute sooner, before the M3A1 half-track was a factor. Like, this would have been quite a lot of ground for Gonzo to gain, but now it's just that little bit too late. Oh, that M1 gun finding the kill onto the Panzer as well. The Panzer in the mid has actually died, speaking of which. Not quite sure what killed that, but it's gone. So no more Panzer 39s on the field. And Gonzo's going to have to continue to try and play around that. His infantry very vulnerable in these sort of scenarios because the Panzer 39s are what is holding back the abundance of infantry that Behati is using. Without those armoured units, the rifles will get the better of Landesschützen, and multiple rifle squads will get the better of Fallschirmjägers, especially units like armoured LMG rifles. So we are going to have to keep an eye on this as we move forwards, because Gonzo's line is looking incredibly weak, and it's only a matter of time really until Behati feels confident enough to just push on through. The only reason he isn't on this top side so far is because of the use of the Pak 36s that Gonzo has. Now if the Pak 36s can start to pick off a unit here and there, then it may change the landscape of this game slightly. But as long as Behati is continuing to bring in more and more infantry, he may just break through completely into the mid-game. We are in Phase B, so Behati will have plenty more tools at his disposal. Gonzo has plenty more infantry that he can rely upon. But can he make it work? There's another M4A10P coming down this main road, and the extra off-map could completely destroy Gonzo's chances of taking back this town. He's trying to move in there with a couple of pioneer squads, get the grenades on target, and this is like ideal sort of scenario for pioneer squads. You can see he has just grenaded one of the rifle squads to death. He's also going to shoot these rifles to death, and a lot of ground has already been made. But this off map could be absolutely devastating, and I don't know if Behati saw this coming, but he's got 3 units of infantry just sitting here waiting to pounce. And I feel like he's going to do what he did at the start of the game, where the off-map's going to land, the infantry's going to be pinned down, and then the infantry on his side of things, Behati's infantry, will get the better of the pioneers, the Fallschirmjägers, and so on. Saying that, Gonzo might just be quick enough to get his pioneers out of trouble. And if that is the case, then this infantry may not be as successful as Behati would like. But they are going to go for it. Be fast moving into the town as the off-map comes down. That first strike was very important, falling back the pioneers. Also the fact that the Pioneer Führer are pinned down is also important, because this GMC, it's going all the way. It's going to surrender the pioneers. It looks like the off-map did unload the engineers earlier than they would have liked, but they did manage to finish off the Landesschützen that were there. Rifles may find themselves pinned in the face of the Fallschirmjägers and pioneers, but the pioneers on the side of Gonzo don't have any grenades left, so the engineers will get the better of them. And with this 50 cal starting to hit the Fallschirmjägers quite hard, and with Pioneer Führer already being pinned down, it looks like Behati has just completely ruined Gonzo's chances in the town. On this bottom side, the Stug 3, it was internal fragmented. The cavalry scouts must have got really close there with a bazooka shot in order to make that happen. And that's unfortunate, because that could have been a really strong push here for Behati. Behati's now, or for Gonzo, sorry. Behati's now brought in the 6-pounder. He's going to be using that to try and defend down here. And that will be enough to stop a Stug 3 from making too much ground. Oh, HS-129 though, that came in. P-38 managed to get the kill. And the P-38 is likely to get away as well, since the P-38's way faster than the ME-109 G6R6. There is a burning vehicle, that's one of the GMCs, or CGMCs, sorry, that went down, but this is a rather unfortunate, same mistake actually that sort of Behati made in the first game, Gonzo made in this one. And it looks like the P-38 was going to shoot down the ME-109 G6R6, but Gonzo comes in to the rescue with another ME-109, and those brittle P-38s, it went down. Bantam does get shot by the Pak-38 on his top side, and Gonzo somehow managing to stay in this one so far. Incredible stuff. Panzer, or the Fallschirmjäger, they're actually going to manage to surrender an infantry squad, and the longer this goes on, I feel like Gonzo will get an advantage over time, especially with that first P-38 being shot down, and also the CGMC dying. because now he can invest in like maybe a couple more HS129s. He'll have 2 ME109s available, and I don't think Behati can ever like trump 2 ME109 G6R6s if Gonzo has like 188 on the field into like a 88 AA piece, I mean. So that could be a way for Gonzo to win this game. The only thing I am worried about is the rate at which Gonzo is losing infantry, especially with the plays that Behati has made. He's been very, very cost efficient with his infantry engagements due to the off-map provided by the M4A1OPs, which is something that he didn't do particularly well in the first game in comparison. So that's why he's seemingly getting the better of Gonzo as the game progresses, and that's why he's got sizably more on the ground than Behati has. This off-map is going to come down straight on top of the Stug 3 and this Kubel munition. There is potential actually that this Kubel munition, if it's close enough, might kill the Stug 3 if it explodes with the soft map. The Fallschirmjäger might also go down, and the Fallschirmjäger I think are just close enough to get killed as well. This could be a really, really good off-map strike. We'll have to wait and see. Not too many engagements happening elsewhere other than grenadiers against rifles on the very top side. Let's keep an eye on this. ME109 is going to come in for a strafing run. The off-map did actually hit the Kubel munition and blow it up. That ended up killing the Fallschirmjäger, but not the Stug 3. Stug 3 does reveal itself to the M1 gun briefly, but with it being pinned down, it looks like the M4A1OP and the M8 are just going to charge on forwards. The M8 may just reveal the Fallschirmjäger in time. It really does depend, but the 6-pounder are going to get the job done regardless. Wow. So the Fallschirmjäger, they get the shot into the M8. M8 goes down. Trading the M8 for the remaining Fallschirmjäger there is actually pretty decent. So not too bad. But with the Stug 3 taken care of, this is extremely vulnerable down here because all that Gonzo has is this infantry. And aside from that, the Pak-38. The Pak-38 can be taken care of by the M4A1OP if it struggles to penetrate the front armour, which it may just do. The M4A176 is now available, so that can engage the Pak-38 from the 1,200 meter range regardless. It's really, really not looking good on this bottom side. Pak-36 though does get the driver knockout and the track wheel destroy onto the M18 Hellcat. There is no smoke that Behati can use here on his infantry, so the Pak-36 may just find the kill if it stops bouncing off that front armour. Meanwhile on the bottom side, Grenadiers trying to get into position, going to come under an abundance of 50 cal fire. As mentioned, the M4A1 is able to hit this Pak-38 from a distance, and that's helped pin it down just enough to get it out the way. So really easy now for the M3 half-track to just run that down, and also the Grenadiers here might get surrendered in the process. Marder 2 is going to be invested in to try and hold this bottom side. But can it do the job? Behati's almost pushing a +2 and Gonzo doesn't have a single point on the board. Marder 2 hits the sweet spot of the M4A1OP. One shot. That goes down. Lovely job actually by the Marder 2. Now can hold this road much easier with that M4A1 not being all up in its face. Because a 50 cal can of course pin down a Marder 3, or Marder 2 sorry, due to its lack of armour. But if he ignored it, he would have to be worried about it regardless. TGMC is going to force back the ME109 G6R6 as it comes in for a strafing run onto the infantry of Behati. Fallschirmjäger is trying to make a move across. Same with the Pioneers here, but the Pioneers running into the machine guns of the M4A1OP. This M3A1 half-track going to want to try and get out of the way of the Marder 2 here. Meanwhile, M4A176 snipes the last man of a Pioneer squad, and Gonzo's front line just looking weaker and weaker. I'm really just waiting for it to completely break, but this is mainly, the reason it hasn't is mainly due to the fact that Gonzo is such a good player. Because if it was anyone else, I feel like feigning the fact that his front line isn't this weak would be really, really difficult to do. He's got AT guns in just the right places to make it awkward for Behati to push. And now he's brought in this 88 that may very well take out the M4A176. And if it does, that could actually be a rather large swing on the bottom side. Saying that, on the top side, Pioneers have gone down to the AT gun again. So that's a third unit, or maybe even fourth unit of infantry that's been killed before it's unloaded in this match. Mistakes that I don't really feel Gonzo makes too often. And it's unfortunate because imagine having 4 more units of infantry right now. It would definitely have a lot more pressure, especially towards the town and the top side where this forest area is. Like if you look at the weakness of these rifle squads, there's only 1 man and 2 man, and then we've got 1 man in the armoured leader. Like that's just waiting for a bunch of infantry to just push forwards and take advantage of that. On this bottom side, the M4105 going to be cleaning up some more grenadiers by the looks of things. Behati holding on to the +1, but here comes the HS129. It's going to be going straight for the AA, I would assume, the M15 CGMC here. Does find the track wheel damage, does find the kill. Didn't go straight for the M4105, which is unfortunate, but will be able to hang about. There are 2 ME109s that Gonzo has, so he will just be able to come round for another run onto the M4105. And I mean, there is potential here that Behati could still lose the game. If these HS129s just start free farming his units, he could very well lose this game. The HS129s are actually still a big threat. We haven't seen one for a while, which is why I hadn't mentioned it, but with that CGMC now dead, Behati's going to have to compensate against this air force, and with that being the case, Gonzo might be able to take advantage on the ground. And the M4A176 did die down here. Pioneers trying to engage engineers. Looks like the grenades have gone off on both sides here. Those engineers actually don't have any left, any satchels left, so the pioneers have a little bit of an advantage. But the engineers jump forwards, and with that 10 HE at close range, get the job done. The pioneers and ersatz, they are in a lot of trouble. The Pak 36s have been killed, or at least the one on the top side has, and with that no longer being an issue, well, the M4A10P and the M15 CGMC can freely move forwards to support infantry engagements against things like the pioneers, and so the rifles can start making even more ground here. Oh, that could have definitely been another dead infantry squad, this time Gonzo unloading them just in time. Double ME109 going to be coming in for the strafing run onto the M1 gun here. Don't think they have direct line of sight, so not really going to get too much damage done, and don't really want to hang about due to the P38 Lightning being assisted by the CGMC. Marder 1, or Marder 2, sorry, did get engaged by the M1 gun here. It is within the 1,000 meter range, which is pretty careless from Gonzo. He can't really continue to drive blind towards an M1 gun, as there's a very good chance that the M1 gun will find the kill. Not sure if the P38 Lightning managed to get a kill onto one of the ME109s there, but they took a while to get out. Ashimiegas have now been found. They actually managed to shoot the WC-52 and kill that with a machine gun. That was rather well done, but this Marder, it needs to keep falling back, or at least just break the line of sight with this AT gun. Yes, the Flak 36 can attack the M1 gun, but you just don't want it to shoot the Marder 2 in the first place, because it's only a matter of time until you tempt fate just too much, and the kills go in favour of Behati. Now there's 14 minutes and 15 seconds left on the clock. Behati is in the driving seat, really, of this match. He has 1,200 points nearly, and Gonzo does not have a single point on the board. We did see it sort of transition very dramatically in the first game in favour of Gonzo, but honestly, with the HS129 being forced to fall back like that and not finding another kill, not good news. Like, Gonzo needs to be finding kills with every single HS129 strike, and then he can potentially get the better of Behati's infantry. And with that occurring, that's like the win condition that he will need. But at this rate, I think Gonzo's just lost too much infantry throughout the game so far, since the HS129s haven't been as successful and haven't found those extra kills. Neither have the AT guns, and so there's an abundance of support units that have really chewed up Gonzo's infantry. We're kind of in an opposite situation to the first game between these two players. Gonzo now on the back foot. Still bleeding at +1. Almost +2. Stug 3 takes that shot at the M8 Scott. Pack 36 is going to make that fall back, but look at that. There goes an 88. The M5 gun takes care of that. The M5 gun will also be able to clean up the Pack 38 quite nicely. And now, Gonzo's in a really tough position. This M1 gun looks like it did get forced back from this tree line, but survived. Now the Marder just needs to keep an eye on this main road and stop anything else from coming forwards. He's going to take out the half track. Meanwhile on the top side, Stug takes out the WC-52, forces back the M4A1. This Stug 3 is now pushing aggressively through. Didn't find the kill onto the M8 Scott, but now going to be engaged at the 1,200 meter range by the M4A176. Got to be careful. Going to get out of line of sight just in time. Pioneers, they're trying to move forwards, but going to get pinned by the engineers. And when one Marder 2 is defending the bottom side, you know you're not in a good position. If a Hellcat was brought in down here and managed to get up to this tree line, Gonzo would be doomed. Simple as that. We actually have a bazooka on the way, which is actually going to be heading to the mid. M5 gun being in this position is going to take out the Pack 36. Here comes the HS-129. Will it get the job done? I don't think it will. Maybe a cheeky kill onto the M8 Scott, but no. Without line of sight onto this M15 CGMC, these HS-129s just aren't going to do anything. And the P38 there, really well timed to take down that HS-129B3, regardless of the fact that there are two ME-109 G6 R6s in the sky. And this ME-109 G6 R6 just took a wrong turn. I think that's going to be dead to this P38 very shortly. It will be able to catch up. And the second ME-109 G6 R6 is in trouble as it is forced to fall back by the AA. That's going to be the ME-109 going down. P38 Lightning will be able to loop round and get onto the back of the second ME-109 G6 R6. And although Gonzo will have a third ME-109 come in, I'm not sure it's going to be enough. It may just well be. Shot down one of the P38s very quickly indeed. Two SAR veterans there helping out dramatically. Will it be able to kill off the second P38 Lightning? I feel like the P38 Lightning is too fast for its own good in that situation. HS-129 coming into the bottom side. He's got to target the CGMC. He's got to. Otherwise that's just going to do too much work to his HS-129B3 before it hits the mark. Yeah, HS-129 being forced back again without getting any kills. And all the while, Behati is finding a way through Gonzo's infantry. The Stug 3, I guess it drove up or it got killed somewhere. Not quite sure what happened to it. I swear there was a second one. The Hellcat dead in the town. But yeah, I swear there was two Stugs. Either way, probably one died somewhere. Marder 3 is going to take out the WC-52. We'll be looking to continue an engagement on the bottom side. M4105 though can get the better of the Marder 2, so he's going to have to be a little bit careful about that. This is ME-109 doing. It's going to be strafing the Hellcat. Gonzo really trying his luck there. Forces the Hellcat back and the Stug 3 actually gets the better of it. Wow. Maybe it was a good play. But the cavalry scouts coming in with the bazooka there is not ideal. Stug 3 is going to have to back off instead of make more ground. Panzergrens, they find the kill onto the M16 or M15, sorry, CGMC. Nicely done. That CGMC was actually out of ammunition entirely, I feel. So the Grenadier is able to just freely run up towards it. But with there being 8 minutes left on the clock and 6 minutes until Behati wins, Gonzo's really not in a good position. It's not getting any better as his HS-129 fails to get a kill on the bottom side once again. Takes a ton of damage from the CGMC and therefore will be unavailable for a significant amount of time. He could have been much more patient here and allowed the Marder 2 actually to get the better of the CGMC. But didn't allow that to happen. Now I am actually very surprised how much infantry is coming in here. But Gonzo is going to be starting to rely on the Fusiliers alongside his Pioneers. And with the Stug 3 and Marder 2 in position here, there is potential for a lot of ground to be made, but he's got to find his way through an M4A 176 and the M4 Abrams. Looks like the Fallschirmpanzer Abwehr will solve one of those problems for him. Saying that, the Stug 3 might be just taken out by the M4A1 Rhino. Back wheel destroyed, fortunately facing the right direction. Fallschirmpanzer Abwehr, they move forwards to take out the 76. The Fusiliers pushing on through. On the bottom side though, it's going to be very difficult for Gonzo to maintain control here. The 1-star AT gun, is it going to be the key that Behati needs? I mean, even if it just forces the Marder 2 to fall back, this M3 half-track is in a prime position to go for a surrender. Marder 2 finds a kill onto the Rhino. Stug 3 going to be taking care of these rifles. Grenadiers go down to the Abrams there. Engagements happening all over the place. ME-109 cleans up that 6-pounder, but the Marder is dead. So, unlucky Gonzo, but you've lost control of that bottom side, and it's now a +2 for Behati. And he's now got 6 minutes and 45 seconds to make back 1,931 points. I just don't think that that's going to happen anytime soon. So, I think we can determine that Behati is going to be the victor of this game. It's just how many bodies can Gonzo take with him. The M8 versus the Marder 2 there briefly. Fallschirmpanzer Abwehr, one step too far forwards, straight into the line of sight of the cavalry scouts. Abrams gets the job done. And having not even used Abrams in the early game, he's got that to use now. The scary thing about Abrams is even in Phase C, it still looks like a decent unit, even though you can get it in Phase A. That's how you know a unit's very, very strong. So it's going to be a Flak 38 being used to hold the front line on the bottom side, alongside some Fusiliers, as long as they unload in time, which it looks like they will have done. And the Fusiliers should be able to get the better of the cavalry scouts with the help of that 20mm AA. It's only a +1 for Behati again, but Gonzo just run out of steam. I think, honestly, Behati's on his last legs of infantry as well. But this time around, the infantry engagements were much better managed by Behati than he did in the first game between these two players. Because with the off-map, he just played it so damn well. And you can see only now Gonzo is bringing in the G2 BR-21s, which shows the limited success that Gonzo has had with his Air Force. Stark contrasts, really. And I think Behati knew what he was getting himself into this time around. And as long as his CGMC didn't die initially in Phase A, I think he was safe. And as soon as there was 2 CGMCs, you could see the HS-129 was just struggling so hard to get a kill. Gonna come in again. Gonna get one last hurrah. There is no M15 CGMC on this top side anymore. So these units are sitting ducks. The M8 does go down. Will Abrams go down? It does. And that is more depressing than anything else. P-38 comes in to try and intercept the HS-129. Will be shot down by the ME-109 G2 BR-21. But yeah, the fact that finally the HS-129 has found a couple of significant kills in one run, it's just too little, too late. Gonzo does not have the time remaining to win this one. His limited amount of infantry is not going to be enough. Like, this Bantam can run down these Pioneers, for example. Yes, there's still the Stug 3, but the M5 gun is in position. It is going to be pinned by the ME-109 G6R6. There's potential for a little bit more ground to be made. But where's the units to stop the mid and bottom side? They're non-existent. Both players really scraping the dregs of their divisions. We're going to see a Hellcat on the way for Behati. But that's not going to stop these Pioneer Fjölders from going down the side of Gonzo. Was that the Bantam got the better of those? I think it possibly was. 2-star 50 cals do hurt. WC-52 goes down to the Panzerschreck of the Fallschirmpanzer Abwehr. Stug 3 going to get the better of the M20 Command. Some decent kills coming in late for Gonzo. And I think the kills and losses will be a little bit closer than we would otherwise expect for a game that's ending so dramatically in favour of Behati. ME-109 going to be having a go at the M4105, trying to allow the Marder 2 to get a favourable engagement going. Meanwhile on this top side, Stug's now under attack from the Hellcat. The M5 gun's going to be the one to get the job done, and without the ME-109 G2 BR-21 having any rockets left, that's going to be it. Gonzo surrenders, and after 37 minutes and 47 seconds, Behati is victorious, and he gets revenge for the second European tournament final. Nicely done, Behati. 2-1 to Behati. He's going to be moving on to the finals. Congratulations to him, going up against Walther in those finals, whilst Gonzo will be pushed into the third place final versus Player, which will still be a very awesome matchup. But we now have our top 2 players decided in the entirety of the world. Crazy, crazy stuff. Have a look at the KD. Yeah, much closer this time around. 3,760 kills, 3,335 losses for Gonzo, in fact. He went positive. Behati winning with a negative KD. Just shows. Because although Behati had more infantry left this time around, he used his other units more efficiently. For example, the M4A1OPs. And that meant that although he did lose those eventually, and it cost him a lot of points, he didn't sacrifice the infantry as much, and therefore didn't lose the ground to Gonzo. And that all comes down to a chain of events to do with the HS-129s not finding the kill onto the AA, and then just the HS-129s not being successful in general, which meant that Behati didn't have to invest as heavily into his air force or anti-air, because the anti-air stayed alive for longer, which meant he could buy in more support units that helped in other ways. Behati had it down in this game. He knew what he needed to do to win, and although Gonzo made it very difficult, ultimately came out on top. So congratulations, Behati. Well played indeed. So this 150mm battery really got the game going at the start there. And the fact that he twice in a row used the same strategy to push Gonzo out the town was just beautiful. Like the timing on the second time round was just really, really great to watch. Like he had those 3 units of rifles just prepped and ready for the next off-map strike to come in, and then use the rifles themselves to surrender the enemy forces, and that was crucial. You can see the rifles here getting the better of a Fallschirmjäger and Fallschirmfjäger Erlig. That would have been, I think, on the top side. Actually, no, that would have been in the town. But yeah, this engagement, really, really good for rifle squads. Trading 2 for 1 against like stronger units is really, really good. Like especially here, for example, Fallschirm Panzerschreck, Pak 36, Fallschirmjäger. Really good value from those rifles early on, which made it very difficult for Gonzo to hold on because he was losing Fallschirmjäger left, right, and center and couldn't use them as efficiently as he has in the past. This 155mm off map took out the Pak 40 on the bottom side, I assume that is. But yeah, regardless, look at this P38, right? It only took out like one HS-129, this one here. Whereas in the other game, we saw like a P38 shoot down like 2 HS-129s. And even though that happened, Gonzo maintained air pressure. Whereas in this one, Gonzo just didn't have any air pressure in comparison. M1 gun taking out the Stug 3 and the Armada 2 on the bottom side was pretty brutal. The 1 health AT guns are the deadliest, of course. We see that M5 gun came through the tree line, cleaned up the 88, the Pak 38 and the Pak 36. Didn't have trouble with the AT guns this time around. It's really well done. This HS129, it cleaned up a few units, but just nothing significant enough to make a huge difference. ME109 did manage to shoot down the P38, took out the M1 gun in the end. The Marder 2 somehow managed to hold on to that bottom side for a very long time. Granted, it was pretty well played by Gonzo to manage that. All it needed, though, on the side of Behati really was a Hellcat to get up close and personal, and then that would have been a very dead Marder 2. So I think although we can see the HS129s getting a few kills, they weren't really until the late game. The Stug 3, again, got plenty of kills, but it was too late. Like, when all these kills started coming through towards the end of the game, like the ME109 shoot down 2 P38s, it was already over, because Behati had managed to maintain as much infantry as he needed to stop Gonzo from counter-pushing as hard. So yeah, there you go. Behati, going to be facing Walther in the final. Gonzo playing in the 3rd place final for the EU group. Technically, Behati is from Poland, but he came out of the Asia group. So it's actually going to be 2 players from the Asia group going up against each other in the final. Not sure if that says anything in particular, but should be a good one. Either way, that's all for now. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in that final. Goodbye.